I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwest Capital for InvestmentPitch Media and the Crypto Coin Show. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Lewis Grafton, the COO of Solchicks. Lewis, welcome to the show, and thanks for coming on.
Hi there, Ashton. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Let's dive straight into it. Solchicks, I've heard so much about on Twitter and across the crypto sphere in the last few months. I know your team's working really hard on this platform. So let's just kick it off with, from you, a little bit of an overview on what is Solchicks and what is your team building, and then we'll dive into the details.
Yeah, sure thing. So Solchicks is a play-to-earn game. It's an RPG, fantasy-themed RPG. We're building on the Solana blockchain, and we're aiming to be the leading play-to-earn game on the Solana blockchain. We started the project, launched Solchicks in September last year. And in that time, we have been on an incredible journey, have scaled the community, scaled our team, and really made a lot of progress towards delivering on the game. So from September through to now, we've grown to, we're getting close to 1 million followers across all of our various social media channels. We have over 100 people working on the project now. Across our operations, game development, marketing, blockchain development.
Wow.
And we completed a fundraising last year where we raised, did quite a significant raise across, both VC investors, some angel investors, as well as public across 34 separate launch pads at the same time. So it was a record-breaking launch, and that's really enabled us to continue to scale and continue building as we look to release the game later this year.
Incredible, Lewis. Thank you for that background. And that really intrigued me when you said to become the leading play-to-earn game on Solana. And I'm curious, what is the secret sauce to becoming the best play-to-earn game? And is it to do with the profitability or the excitement and having the most amount of people playing the game? Maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah, sure thing. So, I mean, one of our key, kind of key targets at the moment is around building the biggest audience that we can and translating that into a really large player base at launch. So, we're really focused on the community building and bringing in more people into the ecosystem. And we see that as probably really broader than just the Solana blockchain as well. We have, a lot of fans that we've managed to pick up from, across the various blockchains. A lot of the launch pads that we launched on were actually cross-chain launch pads, or some that had never actually framed for a Solana-based project before. So for us, about building this really broad appeal. And again, as we look towards the full game launch, we're actually thinking really hard about how do we bring in traditional game players and people who are maybe not currently involved in crypto, haven't necessarily heard about play-to-earn games before. How do we bring them in and really educate the market? Because the long-term opportunity and the long-term success, I think, for everyone in this space is around onboarding more people into the space, more people into blockchain, more people into play-to-earn, where this format of gaming is going to be a key channel for building awareness and bringing people into the space. And the game itself, we're building it to be very fun, very engaging, very entertaining, essentially looking to bring traditional quality gaming to the blockchain.
Definitely. And yeah, there is a lot more gamers not in cryptocurrency right now than there are. So that's a good tactic for getting a large audience. And you mentioned about Solana. I'm curious, with Solchicks being on Solana, why, it's right in the name, and why did you choose Solana as the best technology for Solchicks? What makes it so great that this is the technology that is going to be used?
Yeah, I mean, we really wedded ourselves to the chain with the name.
Yeah.
But, I think, for us, it was a relatively straightforward decision. I mean, there's a lot of great tech out there. For Solana, for us, was really about, having, very fast transaction speeds and very low cost. And these two things are really important, particularly when you're building a game, particularly when you want to be able to do a lot of stuff on chain. And so you need that to be relatively seamless and relatively frictionless. And again, when you are targeting mainstream players and people who aren't necessarily familiar with crypto, you want that user experience to be as seamless as possible, and to really minimize any frictions around fees and transaction speeds that people new to the space might not be familiar with.
Definitely. Great point, Lewis. And that leads me to the next question about the in-depth of incorporation of blockchain and decentralized finance and financial products in the game on top of the gameplay itself. How much of the game is going to be catered around the cryptocurrency aspect?
We're aiming for the game to be fun and playable even without the blockchain aspects, and then bringing in the blockchain aspects and the play-to-earn economy as this really powerful system that just will take things to the next level. So we have, there are games and protocols out there that are, I would say, more anchored to the DeFi aspects of the game and the user experience and less on the gameplay. We're trying to bring in the best of both worlds. We're aiming to have, a lot of the key elements of gameplay be on chain. So having our SolChick NFTs, which are the in-game avatars, as NFTs, obviously they're on chain, and they were the first on-chain assets that we created. We have our Chicks token, our governance token, as well as our shards token, which is a utility token. And between the three of them, these are the kind of the core elements of the game system. But with the power of blockchain and what we're bringing in terms of being, building on Solana, it gives us a lot of options to add other things. So we're building out weapons and equipment NFTs, and we'll have land NFTs, and you really be able to create a full system of value that extends beyond, just the basics, and have a very strong economy, in-game economy system based around, the exchange of these, the creation of items, and the ability to win these items through battle as well.
Definitely, and thank you for mentioning the NFTs and the two tokens as well. I want to touch on all of this. As for the avatars and the main characters of the game with the NFTs, are these coming out before the game is launched? And if so, how can people follow along, or when do they come out, and how can people get access to them?
Yeah, sure thing. So we started our community and built our initial following around our NFTs. So we minted the first 5,000 of our Genesis 10,000 collection back over the course of September and October last year. And so we have a strong community which started in Discord and has expanded to our other channels around these NFTs. These are traded actively on the various secondary marketplaces, such as Magic Eden or Solana or Fractal, and people can buy and sell them there. We do have planned the remainder of that 10,000 collection that we'll be looking to release over time. And, that's part of the rollout as we get closer to the game release. The Chicks token we launched in December, and that's tradable on a number of exchanges. We're listed on Gate.io, MEXC, the Radium decentralized exchange. And so we're really kind of putting the building blocks in place already for people to start participating in the economy. We'll be releasing our Shards token in the relatively near term, and with the Shards token, the Chicks token, and the NFTs, we will be able to start. We'll have all the pieces in place to start NFT breeding, and so the breeding system around the NFTs is a kind of a core aspect of the overall game economy and game system. And this is actually something that we can start to release even before the full game is launched.
Incredible. Yeah, that's great to know. And I'll definitely look onto those Solana NFT marketplaces for those avatar NFTs. And there's a lot to be done in a game as big as this. I know you probably have a team working around the clock, on continuing on development and growing the community as well. Can you talk a little bit, you touched on a few things there, but is that a part of the very near-term roadmap of what's coming up in the next month or a couple of months?
Yeah, so, in terms of the current development phase, the team has been working, incredibly hard to get the game developed. We've got around 25 developers working on that now. We have actually a smaller separate team who have been putting together a mini game, which we'll be releasing in March, and this will allow people to start earning already through gameplay. We have then our kind of major alpha release of the game, which is scheduled for April, and so this will be showcasing some of the core elements of the main game, particularly around the PvE battle system, and that'll be like a closed beta release, so that won't be full open access. That'll be more in the testing stage, and then the kind of the roadmap from there is for a second major release around July, and a much more a really significant one around October. And so between those follow-on releases, we'll open up the game, and people will be able to start playing and earning through the game.
Very cool, Lewis. Mini game sounds very fun. So I'll look forward to that update in the near future. And now I want to talk about, lastly, way down the road. When the main game is launched and GameFi continues to grow, and gaming sees cryptocurrency and blockchain integrated into it by default, how do you see Solchicks remaining as an active game that keeps players engaged and not just something that gets hype and then people sort of lose interest in the game?
Yeah, so a lot of this is around creating a depth of player experience and having a strong content roadmap for the game. So as an RPG game, there's a lot of potential for adding depth of storyline, through backstory, through the lore of the game. And this is something that we aim to continually develop. So in terms of the story and then the gameplay, where we're aiming to have this system of being, easy to learn but difficult to master, there's going to be additional layers of complexity that are available to players who are kind of more hardcore. So we'll have skill trees and character classes and specializations that people can make in the game. And so this encourages people to really delve deeply into these systems and optimize the build of their characters. Beyond that, we aim to have additional items and maps and content around the core game release. And we're also exploring potential expansions or follow-on game modes to build out after the initial release of the core game.
Mm-hmm. Great, all things to look forward to, and that does sound really exciting with all the lore and skill trees and everything. So a lot to look forward to. Thank you so much, Lewis, for taking the time to come on to talk about SolChiks. Looking forward to all of the updates that you mentioned. For the community to get involved right now, learn more about the NFTs, the upcoming mini game, and the main launch, what's the best way for them to get involved into the community?
Yeah, our most active communities are, we've got a very strong following on our Twitter, SolChicks NFT. Our Discord server has a really strong community, and we also have a really strong community in Telegram for people who are, following along with the Chicks governance token. So I encourage people to get involved. It's a really strong supportive community. So encourage people to join the chats and check everything out.
Sounds good. Thanks, Lewis. I will leave those links in the description box below for the viewers as well. All the best on SolChiks moving forward, and let's follow up in the near future.
Yeah, thanks, Ashton. It's my pleasure being here, and thank you for having me on.